The mess hall of the Valiant Crest thrummed with the familiar chaos of a multi-species starship at mealtime. Chittering, growls, and harmonic trills created an interstellar symphony that Nara had learned to tune out long ago. She stood third in the serving line, her stomach protesting after a grueling 14-hour shift. When her turn came, she stepped forward with her tray extended. The Quellan server barely glanced up before his antennae flicked sharply back against his carapace. "Emergency rations only," he said, his translator rendering the words with clinical precision. "Captain's new directive. Humans eat what's efficient, not what's comfortable." Nara's hands clenched. "I haven't seen any directive, you just did." He gestured toward the nutrient blocks, grey uninviting, and frankly insulting after the 12-hour repair job she'd completed. The quantum coupling arrays were still humming smoothly because of her work, because of her willingness to bypass safety protocols when seconds mattered. She wanted to argue. Instead, she grabbed the blocks and found a seat by the viewports, watching hyperspace streak past in ribbons of color. The blocks felt like eating sadness. Around her, other species enjoyed fresh meals while the three humans aboard and only three made do with replacement nutrition. That's when a young feline's cub approached, barely adolescent, with down soft fur and curious amber eyes. "You're Nara," the cub said. "My uncle says you fixed the quantum array. He says we'd all be dead if you hadn't gone in without proper equipment." Nara managed a thin smile. It needed doing. The cub who introduced herself as Tavis studied her for a long moment, then turned and walked back to the communal table where the young felines always ate together. Nara watched, expecting nothing. Then something shifted in the air. Tavi stood up. Without fanfare, without announcement, the cub picked up her plate, still full of grilled protein and roasted vegetables, and walked back to Nara's table. She scraped every bite onto Nara's tray. Nara started to protest, but Tavi was already returning to her seat. Then came another cub, and another. One by one, the young felines approached, each depositing portions of their own meals beside the grey blocks. Some gave half, some gave everything. Nara's throat tightened as she watched them return to their table, their portions smaller now. Their conversation continuing as if they'd done nothing extraordinary, that the adult felines at the main table watched in silence. A few nearby species had stopped eating, observing the unusual scene. The Quellan server had vanished from the line entirely. When the last cub sat down, Nara's tray was overflowing with real food, warm, fragrant, prepared with care. She looked across at the cub's table, and Tavi caught her eye. Making a gesture with her paw, the feline salute of solidarity, Nara returned it, her hand moving in the unfamiliar pattern. As she ate, conversations gradually resumed, but the atmosphere had fundamentally changed. A massive Koran engineer or crystalline facets and deep voice stopped by her table before returning to her own meal. "Human Nara," the Koran said. "The young ones have shown us something we'd forgotten. I will speak with Captain about these so-called directives. We serve together, or we serve a lie." By the time the evening shift filtered in, word had spread. 3 more humans appeared. The other humans on the Valiant Crest relieved from their duties early. They sat with Nara. When they went through the serving line, a new server was on duty. He didn't hesitate before giving them full portions. That night, the cubs had taught the adults a lesson about honor. It wasn't tied to species or rank. It was about recognizing those who sacrificed for others. About remembering that strength sometimes means sharing what you have with those who've earned it through courage. Nara looked out at the streaking stars and smiled. Being human in the Galactic Coalition wasn't about acceptance, yet that would take time. But tonight, she'd been seen. And maybe, she thought, that was where everything began.